Hi.
Hi, Richard. Yep. He's muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Richard.
How's that?
That's
There he
better.
is.
You don't want to hear me anyway, so.
What makes you think that?
Hey, Ashley?
Yeah.
Just so you know, I was on a Zoom meeting this morning with the county, and my iPad kept shutting off. So if you see me go away, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll watch the waiting room.
Did your iPad keep dying or just drop?
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with it. I may have to order a new one.
Oh.
And after today, I just bought a new lawnmower. Boy,
Oh my God, you're spending money like a drunken sailor.
as long as that New York State pension holds out, I'm good.
I heard the governor was talking about slashing them.
Yeah.
No, just Richards.
Professors.
Yeah, that's right.
He suggested they all go back to work.
It's all in the Constitution of the state of New York. You can't touch it. And who knows why the stock market's doing well? It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. Don't jinx it, though.
Like, man. There's 10.
Well, if the stock market continues to do well, it should relieve some of your budget problems.
How's that?
Well, because every year you have to send in a contribution to the state controller for the pension funds.
It's true.
Contribution is based on how the stock market, how their investments do. So if their investments do well, your contribution is lower. If the investments tank, guess who makes up the difference?
We do.
You do, exactly. So if the investments do well, it could mean that your contribution that is less than what you budgeted. You won't know that till September or October.
Actually, I think it's already set, Ken. I'll have to look at that, but I think they pick a day someday in the spring, and that at whatever point it's at that time, that it's set then.
Well, I think, you actually get your bill.
We
in the fall. I can't remember what the exact date is, but that's something that certainly Pam would know.
We do, but there's something about one day in April, I think, is wherever it is on that day, that's the benchmark. I'll find out and get back to you on that.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's not even to do with the pensions. I don't remember, but I know there's some benchmark.
On April 1st, well, that's when you have to submit your.
No, it's not April 1st.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Did we lose him already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on.
So Ashley, if he starts to disagree with me on anything, we'll just lose him and we'll just blame it on his iPad.
That's going to be the whole meeting, though. So.
Many of the world's problems are avoided by people just claiming their computer's not working.
I don't know why this all of a sudden it just started shutting down. So. Probably Facebook.
Well, it's probably Apple sending you a warning that you need to get a new computer. They only last.
I was gonna say, did a new version just come out?
Yeah, it did.
Right.
It did. You're right. There's Reggie.
Hey, Reggie.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
I hate to say it, but I think it's time for reading glasses.
There's some in my drawer if you want to try it out.
I might. Do you wear reading glasses?
Sometimes working on the computer.
Yeah, okay.
My migraines, they tend to get worse if I strain my eyes.
Right, so you
They
wear
start
that.
to hurt. I put on the glasses and it helps.
I just have to lean forward to read the agenda.
And Laura?
It's after 7. We'll give Councilman Rose one more minute.
No, talk about computer problems.
And sorry, I was on actually another call and I jumped off before it ended to be here, so.
Well, this is important.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's actually more important, which is why I left the other call.
Okay.
So
Now we feel,
hoping to get here before we started. So
now we feel good.
there you go.
So I'm sure Councilman Rose will join us in a minute. We might as well get started. So I'll call to order the Town Board business meeting for July 21st, 2020. With us, Nick Henderson from the, is it still the Woodstock Times or should they call it the Hudson Valley One? Nick, just nod. Hudson Valley One? And we have,
Yeah, Hudson Valley One for now. I still catch myself saying I'm from the Woodstock Times, but yeah, I don't know.
okay,
Hudson Valley One for now.
Bill Kimball from the Freeman and Felicia Kasich from Woodstock 104.1 FM. So we're well represented by the press. And the, I guess one quick announcement, and I hope the press writes a little bit about this. There is still time to partake in the census. It is very important, it's critical that all our residents get appropriately counted. Our rate at this point, I think Woodstock is down around 49% response rate, which is really pretty poor. And I would just remind people that future federal dollars depend on a proper count. The more accurate the count, the more, the higher percentage of federal funding we'll end up getting. And again, this is money that we're sending to Washington. We want to get our equal share back. So please take the time if you haven't, and if you have, please spread the word and encourage your neighbors and others to take part in this. If they have any concerns, issues, please have them reach out to my office. We can help them, we can assist them. So with that, Ken, I will.
Well, can I just say?
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, tell people, I think was it 2020census.org? I mean, if you want to go online and do the census, I believe it's 2020census.org. So it can be done online if anybody wants to know how to do it. And you've lost your census that came in the mail, go online and do it.
The links are also on our Facebook and website.
Right.
Thank you.
What's the deadline for folks getting that done? Does anyone know?
That is a good question, Reggie. I believe there's at least another month or so to go, but I don't know the drop dead date.
And maybe we could just real quick, even Ashley, for the next few weeks until the deadline, let's do a weekly
blitz. Ashley and I spoke about that, as well as, just continuing to remind people to wear masks. I think overall we have, as I go through the town, there's a fairly good response rate. I think some of our colorful characters are refusing to wear masks and making an issue of it. And I know that the police have tried to persuade them to do the right thing. But yes, masks and census. That's going to be the blitz over the next couple of weeks. So, Maria Elena?
Just a quick question about the mask issue. And we can wait till the end of the meeting, but I know the Sunday crew that gets together, the drum circle, there've been some issues. Is that something we could talk about?
We can talk about it towards the end of the meeting.
Okay. I
know that the chief has been involved in the police department. I do believe this weekend was a little smoother. So there's Councilman Rose was on for a second. Does anybody else have any announcements they'd like to make before I move on to Ken? Richard? You good? You're muted.
This is Arlene. I'm just here to listen to Ken from the Environmental Commission?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant the town board. Do they have any announcements?
Okay, I just want to
I
let you
got it.
know I'm here.
I got a couple questions committee-wise at the end. I'll wait to the end.
Okay. All right, then, Ken, the floor is yours.
Yes. Well, are you seeing my chart? I'm not sure I'm on display yet.
No,
We're
so
I'm seeing,
you just
I'm
have to
seeing
hit
you.
share screen on the bottom, Ken.
This is always a problem. Share screen.
Must be a PC.
Yeah.
I can see you and hear you fine, Ken.
Yeah.
He's trying to share a chart, though.
Oh,
That's the one I want to share.
Ashley might have to do something.
Well,
It's
This
set for him.
takes up the whole screen.
Well, Ken, if you mouse over the bottom of your screen, do you see a green share screen button?
No, you see nothing.
If you bring the mouse down, you don't have a mute, stop video, participate, chat.
Got it. Here we go. Now you should be able to see it.
Yay.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to turn off the video because that's what Laura suggested last time.
When you get interference, we like to see you, but if you get interference and we can't hear you, turning off the video helps us hear you.
Yeah, well, you don't need to really see me.
it's always a pleasure to see you, Ken.
All right, let's see where we are here. All right, I think you can see the first slide on the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a little background on this. We've been working on a couple of projects with the Aquifer Protection Group, two in particular, evaluating the requirement to extend the sewer system out to, which was a major recommendation from the planning board, and also part of this natural resources inventory, where we reconstructed the aquifer maps for the town. And Laura's group, through Ed Sanders, asked me to give an update on what we were doing with the group, and we had just finished the two major checkpoints. So look, it sounded like everything sort of came together to give another status report to the town board on what we're doing. So some of this you've already seen before, but what our concerns are is that there are about 750 families and businesses that are dependent on the water system. The water wells are in Bearsville, which is an area of high residential density. System density. We had a problem with in-ground fuel tanks there, but that, with the work that Jay Wink did with this group, those have since been removed. And there's, increasing pressure for additional development out there. So the question comes down to how do we protect the source water, protect the town's wells, given that sort of environment. Now, if you look at Bearsville, these little black dots represent houses and represent their septic systems. The town's wells, this is well field number 2 over here with these green arrows, and the red diamonds represent well field number 1. So they're reasonably close proximity to a high density of septic systems. So that there was a reasonable expectation that maybe that was a problem and we should take a look at it, which is what we've done. The other issue that came up is that the wells are within the 100-year flood zone of the Sawkill at that point. This blue area represents the 100-year flood zone, and the well field number 2 is down here, and well field number 1 is over here. So, there are some real issues here, real concerns. You will know about the predecessor events. There was a 2007 aquifer law, which was adopted but not filed. In December 2014, the town board established another water working group to update the 2007 law, and that was headed up by Jay Wink with Laura and Ed Sanders and Jerry Washington. That group finished up its work, its final recommendations, about October 2006. And this was about the time, the comprehensive plan committee was being formed. This is about the time Jeremy was succumbing to his illness. So there wasn't much motivation on the part of the town board to take any action. Matter of fact, given that the comprehensive plan committee was formed at this point, it sort of became an open planning, an open issue for the comprehensive plan. But the planning board made its final response in May 2017. And this was a substantial piece of work. During this period, the group had met several times, actually quite a few times. There were multiple meetings with the planning board. Steve Winkley came in a couple of times and presented. So this final planning board response was their third response in this entire process. So it was our viewpoint, a pretty well put together and well thought out recommendation. And it essentially became our starting point for our evaluation. The board didn't take any action at that point, essentially waiting for the comprehensive plan to report. That happened November 20th, 2018. The town board adopted the comprehensive plan, and in January 2019, the town board made assignments of liaisons and special groups and who was going to do what. At that same period, the Department of Health, Department of Environmental Conservation announced their drinking water source protection program. And I recommended this to the town board in January, and it was assigned, it seemed to fit under and was assigned to what you call the infrastructure, water and wastewater component of the planning board, of the comprehensive plan, which was, the supervisor was the liaison. So in June, the supervisor approves joining this program. We appointed the Aquifer Protection Group, which was myself and Arlene being one, and Larry Allen being another, and Jerry Washington and Ed Sanders and John Laval. The Department of Health assigned Grant Young in September 2019. We met with them in Woodstock in October, and I gave the last update to the town board in November, sort of outlining what we're planning to do. So this is a follow-on to that update. If we look at the planning board's recommendations and objections in May 2017, they sort of fall into four categories. First was they were pretty strong on saying we don't really need for protection law. What we need is the sewer system extended out. The second thing they focused on was that if the protection should be done, should really be focused on the wellhead protection area, which is the area right around the wells. They also recommend a variety of zoning changes, which really probably fit into Laura's committee because they're not directly related to the aquifer protection. They have more to do with some of the other aspects of the zoning law. And then they also pointed out you really need some education, which let people know they're in an aquifer area. Things like how to maintain your septic systems, what sort of precautions you should take about applying to fertilizer. The highway department puts on the roads in that area. One of our consultants recommended just putting up some signs saying that, this is an aquifer, got to be careful what you dump on the. So the first question was, what about the septic systems and the sewer system? This is the way a conventional septic system works. It has a rather nasty cocktail of stuff coming out of it, but most of it is processed and neutralized by the microbes in the ground. So, I mean, a well maintained and well operating septic system is really a pretty good way to dispose of sewage. And the septic system also recharges the groundwater. So for a certain extent, Bearsville is drinking its own sewage because the water is coming out of the septic systems and going back into the groundwater, which then is pumped out by the wells. But that's true for all areas in town which are using and then, it's generally considered, when properly sited and maintained on a routine basis, septic systems are an excellent waste management alternative. And the pathogens which are in the effluent are neutralized by the soil microbes, and those that don't get neutralized by the soil microbes can be treated with chemicals. But there is one exception, and these are what are the nitrates. And the nitrates are salt, and they're water soluble, so they kind of run through the whole process. The source comes from various types of food sources. You know, leafy green vegetables are a particular source of nitrates. Also, you know, preservatives and bacon and meats and other items are what would be introduced from your household. Externally, you know, fertilizers are a big source of nitrates, and also just manure and the general waste that accumulates in the in an agricultural environment. So what's the problem with nitrates? The problem is that nitrates combine with the hemoglobin of the blood and reduce the blood's ability to carry oxygen. Now, for children and adults, this really isn't a problem. I mean, you can wolf down a bacon cheeseburger without losing your breath. But for infants, this is a problem because the small amounts of nitrates can actually cause what's called blue baby syndrome, which is a condition that's caused because of a lack of oxygen in the blood. And so the EPA has established standards on how to manage these nitrates. At 10 milligrams per liter, you have a problem. This is when you need to take corrective action to reduce the nitrates in the water supply. At 3 milligrams per liter, this is where you're actually starting to see an indication of human-induced nitrates. This would be a case where you might see the some reaction from the septic systems or fertilizer or other types of human activities. But there's a normal background level for nitrates just because it's a normal biological process, and that's about 1 milligram per liter. So the town is required to measure nitrates in the water system. And so here's the chart of nitrate concentration on Pawpaw's number 1. The red line is the 10 milligrams per liter. The gray line is the 3 milligrams per liter, and this is where you start to see, you can indicate there's some human activity. And the green line is just background level. As you can see, for number 1, we're pretty low all the way across the board. But there, we can't really explain all these exceptions here. In some cases, it's could be because of drought. If we're not getting a large amount of rain, then we're not getting as much fresh water in the aquifer, so it's not diluting the nitrates which are coming out of the septic system. The other problem could be is that sometimes one well field, the wells have a problem. Oh, that's your background. If we have to concentrate on one well field for all the water because the wells have failed or they're not operating properly, then that causes a different type of nitrates. Those are speculations. We really can't tie that back to well. We got 100 years of rainfall statistics from the city of Kingston. With their Cooper Lake and the Mink Hollow, and we couldn't really make any correlations between the rainfall and the nitrate concentrations in our wells. This is well house number 2, pump house number 2. You can see a couple of years where we don't have any nitrates, and that could be because the wells aren't working very well, or because everything was being done on well house number 1. And then in 2015, it was a high late, but for the last couple of years, it's really been quite low. So the conclusion, and this is with our work with the Department of Health, there's no compelling need to extend the sewer system out to Bearsville. The septic systems are not an immediate threat. The nitrate concentrations are well below background level and really don't represent any sort of problem. So the focus should be on protecting the aquifer and protecting the well fields from possible future contamination. And if you do have a problem, in addition to a sewer system, the slogan is dilution is the solution. If your nitrate levels go up, you need to have more water in the system that doesn't have the nitrates in it. That could be new water wells, or it could be water that actually comes from the Sawkill, not necessarily directly from the Sawkill, but with wells close to the Sawkill, so it's drawing from the Sawkill. So the conclusion we came to was that the justification for putting the septic or the town's sewer system out to Bearsville really isn't there. The septic systems are working well, at least from the viewpoint of the water system, and we're not really picking up contamination, and there doesn't seem to be any real initial requirement for the sewer system we put out to Bearsville. So then that moves us on to the next recommendation, which was focus on protecting the wellheads. And we've had a lot of consultant reports, but we really never put together a map showing all these various areas. We've had a lot of, well, there's that report and there's a map on page 2 conversations, but we never could really dive back to what was being recommended in the various proposals and how they related to the consultants' reports that we had. So we had this natural resource inventory project with the Hudson River Estuary, the Ulster County Department of Environment, the Ashcon Watershed Stream Management Program, Department of Health. This was a terrific group of people to work with on these issues, and we put together a map that shows the water system, the water districts, and the various recommendations from the consultants about what areas should be protected. And we put that together based on with the expectation that this will become a standard planning group, which would be the focus and would be the launching point for any type of aquifer protection law. Meaning these are just lines on a chart, but the actual development of the law, if they were to include that into the law, would have to be, those maps would have to be redrawn by our engineers, and the town board would have to make its decisions about what properties are in. But this was really just to put a basic planning document in front of the planning boards, the ZBAs, the town board for that matter. And it also, provides us with an option for where we might put the future wells. So this is what the map looks like. We already had a good response to this, because what we found out with Laura's group, that a lot of those people, although a lot of them had experience with the planning board and other organizations, really didn't understand the of the Woodstock water system. So we get questions, what's that green area? You say, well, that's the water system. That's where people who live in those green areas are eligible to attach the water system, and most of them already are. And it was, this map was developed over several years, because we had extensions and we had adjustments and we had other projects. And finally, the DEC came in when we did Woodstock Commons and said, you guys got to really draw a map that puts all this together into one map. And, the Brenner and Lar, this is really a copy as best we could make of the Brenner and Larios map that was done of the water system as part of that project. Now we also have from the consultants report, the Horsley and Whitler report, an area which he called the Wellhead protection area, and that's this red area line right here. And as best as we could draw from the existing maps, we drew that in as a planning document. We also have from Steve Winkley a larger extended area, which includes aquifer area, which would be the future site for wells, for additional wells, if we ever did that. This map also shows the Woodstock aquifer, which runs up along Shady, so that the Sawkill is really recharging the aquifer all the way from Shady down into Bearsville. So trying to put together on one document everything that we've done for the last half dozen years as far as consultant reports and mapping and studies. So this is the wellhead protection area, and this was the area that the planning board said you really got to focus on. At our November review at the town board, this was the area the town board said to focus on. So it seems like that's a reasonable step to go. And it's really it just really covers the Bearsville Flats area. These gray areas are the engineer's estimate of where we're really drawing the water out of the aquifer. So, if you're dumping fertilizer on Rick Volt's field, that could end up in the water system pretty quickly. The other map we put in there was the Steve Winkley map. Again, this was what Steve had presented to the town board and the planning board, and so we put that on the water system map. And here's the aquifer that feeds the Woodstock water system. I mean, the wells are down here, and this is Bearsville, but we're getting refresh of the aquifer through the Sawkill all the way up through Shady. And of course, anything that happens between like the fire company and Echo Lake is going to somehow or another end up in the aquifer. But these are the important areas to consider. And, we have this large area, the Tributary Watershed, which I think people pretty well think the Wetlands and Watercourse Law probably is all the protection you need for this area up here. But what we're looking at is that, our water system is recharged by rainfall and snow melt. It's rather shallow. Whatever falls up in this watershed area eventually ends up into the aquifer and is available to the water wells. We do not go beyond, what Jerry Washington was called the confined aquifers. We're really dealing with this area up here, which refreshes rather rapidly. So that's where we are. We're following the framework that was outlined by the Department of Health. Our next steps, we've done the mapping as they've requested, and actually they helped do it. And looked at some of the issues affecting the water system, specifically the septic tanks. And now we're really ready to move on to where where Laura's group had left off, or Jay's group had left off a couple of years ago, and start looking at what sort of rules and regulations would be appropriate for those areas. And it may not be this. We're starting from where they left off, but we may not follow on completely the way they're doing it. And after that's done, then it's up to the town board to decide. We'll make those recommendations to the town board, and it probably kicks off the whole process again as far as having the various groups review it and decide if we want to implement it as part of the zoning law. So this is our work plan for the next couple of months. We developed these maps as part of the natural resource inventory, so we got to write those up and finish that work. And that's really the source drinking water map, which I showed you. We have maps of the Sawkill watershed and of the aquifers, which we need to define. But we want to really focus on the wetland protection area, identify the sources of contamination, and make recommendations of what should be done. And then recommend, maybe other zoning changes or things that could be done for the other areas. So that's where we are. And we've made some, I think, terrific progress on a couple of major items. And now we're ready to actually get down and put and evaluate what we really want to propose and recommend to the town board as changes to the zoning law. So that's my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
I'll start with Richard. Do you have any questions?
Can we put everybody back for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
think
I
Nick needs to click something to exit because he's still got
I
share
got a
screen
black
showing.
screen here. Yeah. No, I got no questions at the moment. I want to thank Ken and the group. They're doing a great job, and I got no problem with what they're suggesting so far. Ken,
Yes.
can you take yourself off this screen, or?
I think if you just click on share screen again, it may take it off.
Let's see.
Yeah, hover at the bottom of your screen. I know that is the bottom of your screen where you found the share screen icon. Oh, maybe not. And maybe Ashley is the host. Ashley, can you cause him to not be able to share his screen?
Let me just see if there's a way to do that. Here we go. There we go.
Yay! Thank you. Yay!
Or had to use that button.
You learned
The
something.
problem
new
is
every day.
when I bring up the screen, it just wipes out everything else. I don't see anything else.
Yeah, it's probably in full screen presentation.
I'm in full screen mode.
Laura, did you have any questions for Ken?
I didn't have any questions. I wanted to thank him for his wonderful work. Ken did come to the last zoning revision committee meeting, presented this set of stuff. He was wonderful then and he was wonderful now. Great, really done your homework, Ken. Thank you so much for the in-depth, for all the knowledge and the investigations, and your communication of it all is extremely helpful. Ed Sanders was the person because in our zoning revision committee, we have different committee members who are taking the lead in different topics. And so Ed Sanders had volunteered to take the lead in the water protection topic. So I know he and Ken communicate quite a bit. So Ed Sanders is taking this and running with it. And certainly, Ken, any advice you have or recommendations for zoning changes, certainly share. Best to share it with Ed because he is taking the lead on this for the zoning revision committee, but certainly share any recommendations that you do have.
Well, first of all, I want to say, it wasn't just me. I mean, we had this group as part of the natural resource inventory, which was these maps. They make GIS sound simple, but we've had some real problems with this. It's a real challenge to get these maps made. And these guys really put in the time and effort to get it over the line. And the Department of Health was very helpful on this grant. I mean, how else would you get technical questions answered about septic systems and chemicals and measurements and nitrates? I mean, that's where we got all that information. And certainly, when Ed will write it up. I mean, the write-up will come out of your committee essentially. We'll be working with them to keep it within focus and so it responds to what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's well coordinated, and we got a lot of people who have really contributed to this. So it's I put together the presentation and I write the reports, but I certainly don't do all the work.
It's a group effort. Well, thank you to the whole group.
Yeah.
Councilman Rose, did you have any questions, comments?
No, other than when Bearsville secedes from Woodstock, we'll make you a good deal on the wellheads.
Will you be leading that charge?
I got some friends. I think it's going to be a committee.
Okay.
I love
we're
a committee.
going to bring in federal troops, Rose. So,
Oh, good.
Oh, boy. Reggie, do you have any comments?
No, other than thank you to Ken and all the folks that worked on this. And Ken, you are definitely a real treasure for Woodstock, for all the work that you do and volunteer. You put so much time and effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Ken,
Thank you, Ken.
would it be possible to get a hard copy of that for the town clerk to add to the minutes?
I will send it.
Not that perfect. If you send it by email. And Maria Elena, did you have any comments, questions?
Just to echo what everybody's saying, thank you so much, Ken. And, it's so vital to have all this information, especially when people care so much about, how our water treatment system is working. So thank you so much, really.
Ken or Bill, could we also get Ken to send this to the town board, just a presentation?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm sorry?
He'll do that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
I figure it's better after I present it rather than beforehand. So
Yeah.
So pay attention. So
So-
Ken, it didn't change since when you presented zoning, right? It's the same presentation, or was there any update since you presented to the zoning revision committee?
No, this was the exact same presentation.
Yeah, okay,
Except for the cover sheet, I changed the date.
yeah, okay.
Okay, then. With that, we will move on to some resolutions. Thank you again, Ken.
All right.
Be it resolved to accept minutes for the meetings held on June 16th and July 14th.
I will second, I made comments on, I think, both of them, so Jackie, hopefully you'll check out the comment.
Lynn, there'll be some comments from Laura.
Oh, hi, Lynn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize payments of audited vouchers in the amount of $190,652.40.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize transfers per transfer sheet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Maria Mendoza from the Woodstock Zoning Board of Appeals, and be it further resolved to thank Maria for her many years of service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With a question, so does that mean we now have an opening, and are we going to be publishing that we have an opening?
Yes.
So the other thing too, I know I brought up a couple of meetings ago, the WEC had asked me to bring up that there still is a WEC opening,
Mhm.
and I don't know whether it was able to make it into the Hudson Valley one or not. But anyway, the WEC, whenever we publicize that we have an opening for the Woodstock Zoning Board of Appeals, would like to also include that WEC is still looking for their 7th member. And my other question is, Maria Mendoza, last I knew, she was the chair, or was she not the chair when she was on?
She was the chair, correct.
So
So
do
we'll have to appoint a chair. They have a vice chair that'll get them through a meeting or two, but we'll have to be
Consider-
appointing a chair
consider that.
at our next meeting.
Yeah, okay.
So let's see. Be it resolved that the Town of Woodstock location code 30559 hereby establishes the following, see attached, as standard work days for its elected and appointed officials, and report work days to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on the timekeeping system or records of activities maintained and submitted by these members to the clerk of this body.
Well, I can second for purpose of discussion. Reggie and I did discuss this, and I don't know if there's a deadline to getting this in.
We're late.
We're
way
late.
Yeah.
Right. Be that as it may, I think Reggie and I both have questions about it. I will say first off, my name is misspelled on page 1. LaRua.
All right.
LaRua Ricky.
Okay.
We're curious, the standard work day 6, I know, I don't want to speak for Reggie, but I think he and I had the same question. We don't know what that means. I don't think either of us is actually, this is a part-time job, and I don't think we're working 6 hours a day on it. We're working a bunch,
Right.
but I don't know if we're working 6 hours a day.
You should both talk, because there's nothing submitted for you guys, so you should talk to Pam tomorrow, and we can make amendments if we need to.
So what are we voting on? Just for clarification, why is the town board having to move on this? I'm just curious. Why are we voting on a resolution about this?
Because we've voted on it for years past.
It's
The
only
board,
if you're in your retirement, correct?
correct. And the board, at the beginning of the year, if you remember at the organizational meetings, we vote on the standard work days. It's just done every year.
Right, and I know that Reggie and I were both logging our hours, and I know I owe you my answer of that, because we were logging January through March, and then coronavirus, I kind of put my sheet of paper aside, and I still have to grab it and bring it in. So now the other thing too is I noticed on Reggie's line, it does say his time goes until 2021. We both have 4-year terms, and 2023, so there's an error there.
The other thing,
Well, we're only posting the first one with myself, Jackie, and Mike.
right.
Tell me again.
Rose and I are, I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
Well, I'm sure, I don't know what Bill just said. We're posting the first one.
We're voting on the first one with myself, Jackie, and Mike. That's the one we're dealing with.
Okay, because there's
Oh,
four
okay.
pages, there's 4 pages attached.
Right.
And I noticed Rose and I are not anywhere to be found. I couldn't find us anyway, but
Well, I think
Well,
what it is.
It's
is
only
what-
when, excuse me, Laura, when you're
Yeah.
up
Should be
for
new term?
re-election. Yeah.
okay.
So you guys, if you had did you partake in the retirement system?
No.
Part-timers don't, so you wouldn't be in it then.
Right.
You can opt in. A part-timer can opt into it. And so because I opted into it, and I went through this previous term as well, because I opted into it, they look at your hours for the first 3 months of your 4-year term, and they gather that information, and somehow that ties into some numbers. So because Reggie and I are at the start of our 4-year term, and I know I opted into the retirement, so I can't speak for Reggie on that, but anyway, that's why my stuff is there. But I still need to provide my input, and I apologize for being delinquent to that.
Right.
However, I'm not sure if that makes it smart for me to vote yes for, let me reread.
But you're voting for, you can vote no if you want. You're voting for myself, Jackie, and Michael, who did
Okay,
this.
so as long as that, yeah, as long as I don't want to be I didn't want to be locked in, which is why I'll come in to see Pam about that particular. Just, I think the question then came because we saw it and it thought.
But
you
you
know,
guys, you do need to submit the calendar ASAP.
I understand that. I understand that. I'm just talking about being locked into what those numbers were. So, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. And
But the issue I have though is it says nothing about it's only for this, that, and that person. The resolution I'm looking at
We're
says,
voting on the first 3. You guys submitted nothing. There's nothing to submit.
no, but we're voting on a resolution. The resolution says, be it resolved that the town of Woodstock location code, blah, 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 establishes the following. See attached.
This
standard work days.
attached sheet, the attached sheet that has Mike, Jackie, and my name on it.
Well, the attachment I'm looking at has page 1 has Reggie and me on it.
Okay, well, I'll send another email right now with just this attached sheet if it'll make you happy, Laura. But that's what we're talking about, those 3.
Well, if you said page 3 of the attached sheet, I'm with you. Page 3 is the 3 of you guys.
Okay, page 3.
So if it just says page 3 of the attached sheet, I'm with you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hepner, did you vote? You're smiling. He said aye. And where did Rose go? He left.
No, he's there in the dark.
No,
It is in the
isn't.
dark.
He's sitting in the dark.
He went to go get another squirrel.
Right. All right.
And
So,
Richard,
Bill,
Richard, you're on mute.
Bill, did we need to have a resolution to say add page 3? Did that need to be a resolution to the,
Where it says see attached page 3.
Yeah, Lynn's got that in the minutes, page 3.
so we didn't need to vote on that, the amendment of the resolution? Okay.
Yes.
All right, good enough. I'll take that.
Be it resolved to authorize the Woodstock Highway Superintendent to go out to bid for a road widener AVR attachment for a Bobcat loader. Seal bids to be delivered to the Town Highway Office at 3218 Route 212, Bearsville, New York, 12409, no later than 11 a.m. on August 17th. And be it further resolved, the Woodstock Town Clerk will post the attached legal notice in the Woodstock Times, or the Hudson Valley One, as it may now be called.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
So
this-
what do we, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
We're buying a Bobcat loader.
No, so what Mike bought a Bobcat loader. If you remember back in, February or March, we approved the transfer of monies to buy equipment. It was about $200,000.
Yep.
And there were a number of pieces of equipment. One of them was the Bobcat loader. We purchased that, but we had to do we got that on state bid. The road widener attachment had to be purchased separately. It couldn't be bought off the same bid. So that's what he's buying. It's an attachment for a piece of equipment.
Well, not only that, but the resolution is so he can go out to bid. It didn't say we approve it. It's saying we're approving him going out to bid.
We're only going out to bid.
That's what
Right.
we're
We're
Oh,
going to we'll accept the bid when it comes in. So basically it is approval.
No,
I mean,
we
unless the bid's outrageous or whatever.
in the bid notice, we have the right to reject all bids. in the attached document that you have.
Rough idea on cost?
Uh,
I see Mr. Rose is back from turning the raccoon over on the grill. Okay.
how did you vote on the work schedule?
I'm good with it,
Okay.
but I want to know how many bobcats do they actually load?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Mike or Boney.
I think I will.
Please do tomorrow morning. Richard, you know, I know Mike and I talked about it a while back, the cost, and honestly, I don't remember. It was all within, when we did that $200,000 transfer, he listed a number of pieces of equipment, and
we're within that range.
we would have to be within that range or we would reject the bid.
Yeah. No, I just know we're trying to be careful with money and everything. Just
Absolutely. I hear you. So
I'm good.
all in favor, anybody else have any questions on that one?
Well, I was getting to Richard's point before. He's going out to bid, but that doesn't mean we're accepting the bid.
Correct.
So are we going to have another resolution when he gets his choice?
Yes.
Okay.
And the notice said we have the right to reject all bids.
Correct.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No, Mike will be very happy. All right, public be heard. Ashley, did anybody ask to be heard?
Nobody asked.
Nobody? Nobody?
But
Board?
I'll just say one thing.
Okay.
In support of Laura, the PDF file that went out with the standard work hours
Yes.
did have Laura and Reggie in it. It went out with the agenda.
Yes.
I'm
But
just saying, I support Laura in what
Thank
she
you.
was saying.
It's the one page that we're working, that we're
No, I understand. I'm just saying that what Laura was looking at, I had seen also.
yeah, what, I have it right here in front of me.
So we added page 3 to the resolution, so we're
No,
so
I
we're,
know,
we're
I
clear
know.
now.
We just-
But
I
thank
just-
you, Iris. Thank you for your support, Iris.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Well, are we, no other public be heard?
No. Okay.
I got a
Richard?
couple things.
Go ahead.
Just real quickly on this one from the Housing Committee.
Yes?
We have a meeting tomorrow night. They are putting together a proposal for a land trust. And I know, Bill, you and I met with them, or met with Kirk and Susan Goldman about the idea. They were going to put together, the question was, should they put together a resolution? I said, no. I just want to make sure the board's okay with this. I said, no, come to the board with a draft plan and explain what you're talking about. Get some questions for the board, readjust, then come back and we'll talk about a resolution.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Everybody cool with that? All right.
Yes.
All right. Guess what time it is, folks? Big deep time.
What do you got for us?
No, I just want to make sure that we're looking at planning and moving forward with some ideas so we're not here again next summer. And Reggie and I met and talked. And I would never do anything if there's COVID spikes or COVID issues. I also probably wouldn't do anything going back to Ken unless we tested that water. We were down there on Monday and it is low. And it ain't moving too fast. So I would suggest the town might want to get the health department in there and at least run a test. It's hot. It's stagnant. You know, it's almost stagnant in a way. But the other side of that is, and what Reggie and I talked about is, how do we plan going forward, opening this up, whether it's in August or late August or September or next year? What do we need to be doing? We looked at some options. We looked at where we could put a dumpster where people wouldn't come in and dump their garbage. We talked about permits. We talked about a number of things. And, you know, the other problem is, when I talked to Mr. Rose about this, in fact, there was an article in the New York Times today. You know, we do a lot with planning and things like that during the pandemic to make things, life a little bit easier. What's this? How's the song go, Mr. Rose? This blood, sweat, and tears. Then that's got, or get, something like that. You know, people have swimming pools. People have neighbors that have swimming pools. People can join swim clubs. People with money. And I'm concerned too that, I mean, it's a beautiful spot down there. It's a cool spot. It's a nice spot. And if we could figure out a way to control it, it would be a spot for people who don't have the resources to cool off on a 95-degree day or can't afford an air conditioner. Those are the types of things we're thinking about, or I'm thinking about. And that's why I'd like to see some planning going forward. That's about it.
Richard, I think, you know, and maybe I didn't elaborate enough, but I think that the start of this is to talk to both the County Department of Health and the state DEC and look at how we could put guidelines in there, maybe how we can do permitting and what the requirements are and what that would cost us, and go from there and start planning in that way. I totally agree with you. You know, somebody on Facebook, I think I said this last week too, said this isn't a solution, it's a reaction. It's absolutely right. This is a reaction. We do need to come up with a solution. And I mean, I thought we were pretty unanimous that we all wanted to see it reopen with the proper guidelines. So yeah. I think it's the county, to the county health department and the state. We have a sit down with them and really get some good guidance from them about the best way to control this and what they're going to require.
I think that if we're going to reopen, which I am actually in favor of, although the water's low and I don't believe I'd go in it myself, but we need a dumpster in there and a porta potty, right? And then, you know, I got two conditions. If it gets trashed again, we close it. If the virus spikes, we close it. But, I mean, we go out of our way for affluent white people. And I think closing that down, like Richard said, it hurts the disadvantaged of our community.
Absolutely.
And I don't care for that much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I would move, at least in phases, if we did reopen, and again, I understand this requires a permit system somehow, but residents only to start with.
And liability.
Yeah, we've got to work out our lifeguards, work out liability, and you know
yeah,
what?
I'm not sure we have to go that far, but okay, I'm going to argue about it. But yeah, okay, whatever we need to do.
And I'm not, I mean, that's what they threw at us the last time. There may be alternative routes that we could take, but I think that's who we need to sit down with.
I briefly looked into it. I got to follow up more, you know, how you go about creating a park, a municipal park, something like that, you know, like they do in town of Ulster or other towns. You know, there's other options, I think.
I think it's a magnificent piece of property, or
it's
actually
a great piece.
Two separate pieces of property that we really should work to open up again. So, and you know, everybody that I've talked to, the general public, my attitude is this is temporary, that we are going to get back to opening it up. I mean, I don't see this as gone forever. So
yeah, and I think my thoughts is to push this. That's basically what I've been trying to do, and I think Reggie agrees. I don't want to speak for him.
I do.
So do you two want to try and set up a meeting, or I'll work to set up a meeting for you with the county and the DEC and start to gather some information?
Can we, what do you think, Reg? Do you want to research more first, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not too late. You know, we still got, another week and a half in the month. So it will be possible if we can get the information and look at the water, then maybe by late August, we could have a shift.
Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, the Big Deep is pretty slow, but below the falls, the water is moving at a quicker pace. So it could be that maybe we open up Little Deep because, you know, the water is cleaning itself a little better. I mean, there are a lot of different options and a lot of different ways to look at this. So
I'm okay with it if Reggie's okay with it.
Why don't you two guys take another week and then get back, send an email to the board, give us an update. We don't have a meeting next week, but if we needed to, we could have a quick meeting to talk about this if you wanted to, at 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
I will say, you know, we're not the only town facing this issue. I'm even just around garbage at local. I've been seeing, I have been just even this week, I've seen things, you know, where towns are having a really hard time. It was nice to go down there though and see on Monday, and there wasn't any trash. There was a hat. Perfect. It was beautiful, and it was very clean. So, and then you also, and I won't go on about this for a long time, but you get into the issue of, well, if we have a dumpster, you know, does that make a difference? Or are people dropping off, you know, their garbage? Because really, if you take in and take out, then it's a non-issue, you know. So, or folks that will just leave their garbage on the ground care enough to even walk it to the dumpster? I don't know. But I think what Lauren was saying, you know, we could try it and see how it works. It doesn't mean we have it out there for forever, and see if, you know, that helps. But I've also seen the argument saying, okay, well, if you leave that, then that just encourages people to come dump the trash there.
Part of the problem with the bigger containers is that we end up getting bags of household garbage.
That's what yeah.
Well, the other side of it, Bill, well, we did talk about is there's ways to push that dumpster back in further, that a truck could, whatever truck has to get in there to retrieve it could get in. So that's a possibility. The other possibility, by the way, Reggie was happy than anything to be down there the other day. He just loved the place. I'm surprised he didn't go swimming, but
just frolicked around. Yes,
frolicking in the water. Could we? This is an aesthetic point. The blockade down there is pretty pathetic. You know, it's not the most. For an artist community, it's not 100%.
You know, the one thing I will say, that was the police department who did that out of frustration, I believe. We started with a couple of signs, people ignored them. We started with a few, we added a few more signs. People said, oh, we didn't see. We added a few more, and then finally they put up the caution tape, and people still are saying, oh, we didn't know, we didn't see.
No, I understand that. It looks like maybe a mass murder occurred as police.
Right, it's a crime scene.
I don't disagree. And in fact, I said to somebody, boy, that needs to come down. And to my surprise, that person replied, leave it up for another week. I'm happy to take it down.
What would help there is, you know, you got that gate that's further in there. If we had a gate like that across the front, and we're able to lock that at night or whatever, it would also stop people from going in with trash maybe. I don't know. I'm just suggesting. We got to think about it.
The other thing we have going in our favor is they now know that we have the willingness to close it.
You're absolutely right.
So we there might be a little deeper tone in our voice now.
You know, the one other thing that I'll just throw out there, is that, you know, maybe we might consider doing some trial basis where we opened it a couple days during the week. And we won't take the signs down or anything, but we can say, you know, folks could go in Tuesday through Thursday or something, you know, from noon to 6, and see how that goes. So.
Well, that would encourage locals. I think a lot of us feel that encouraging locals is good, because the out-of-towners who go and they sit there all day and then they create garbage all day, I think we're sensing that's where the root cause of the problem is. So that idea, Bill, would encourage locals, I think, which would be good.
The other thing, I mean, I agree, Laura. And I mean, the simplest way I thought about that, but it would still require some type of enforcement, is we simply we give out the parking pass for the Rock City lot. You know, you can park for free if you're a resident. If people had that on their dashboard or on their windshield and they're parked down there, we know that they're cool. And police would go down, somebody would go down and issue tickets for, you know, cars that were parked that didn't have the sticker. That's about the simplest way I can think of doing that.
That would take a local law, though, which would take a month or two to create.
There's your answer, Reggie.
What was his question?
Do we need a local law?
Yeah.
Do we need, right.
Yeah.
The police need a law to write a ticket.
Right, as Richard pointed out, he's looking long-term on this.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't help us a lot this year, but we take the time to do a local law and position ourselves better next year. Which
And that's
I don't
something we should be looking at.
Right.
But,
Which I don't wanna-
but that won't be a solution for this year is all I meant.
Right, and so I don't want to steal Richard's thunder because he's the one that said it first, but I'm just restating what Richard said, that, you know, a local law as a long-term solution would be a good thing for us to think about.
And I think we should be thinking long-term. You know, I could almost deal with, if we can't get it open this summer, maybe we can. If we can, that'd be great. But I think we need to take, we should really plan this through and come up with a good solution.
Yeah. Well,
And that's what I know Richard and I are, I mean, at least I'm sure all of us are, but Richard and I are interested in that, and really coming up with something long-term other than this stuff coming up. And of course, COVID came and created a whole other set of circumstances. But it is a beautiful spot, and would like to see people have access to it.
Yeah, and I'm strongly in favor of giving locals free access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that also.
Is there a sense of the board that we start with locals first as part of the plan?
You know, I don't know if we can specifically ban out-of-towners, but again, if we left it to midweek, would see who showed up and who didn't.
Right.
It is the big groups that are causing trouble on two fronts: COVID, and garbage. And I don't know where the groups are coming from. I'm not passing judgment, but they tend to show up on the weekends.
If Lauren would stop talking to all his tourist friends and telling him about that spot, then we'd be all right.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I do have a long list of people who have all volunteered to clean up. You know, so if we were going to open up midweek, I would open up and I would reach out to all of them and, you know, kind of make them
stand up.
Get them to commit to it and go from there.
I can remember when we first started to build the kiosk that my friend Ken got me involved in, and there was all kinds of people going to come and help us.
Yeah.
It ended up being two of us.
Well, Lauren, I would just say that we've been dealing with this issue for 3 or 4 years now, and every time we talk about closing it down, people come and say, we'll volunteer. And very few of them have carried through. There is one gentleman who actually did follow through this year. But, you know, but as you pointed out, they know we're serious now. So maybe they'll.
I think that's nothing happens without a little leverage. And I think that's our leverage.
You know, like Reggie said, we were down there the other day and it was spotless, which is great. And it shows you what a great place that is, Big Deep. It's just a nice place. And when it's cared for. I got two other questions. One, I don't know, Bill, are we pushing people elsewhere on streams? I mean, are we seeing an uptick elsewhere around town where people are jumping in they're not supposed to be?
Well, certainly over on Millstream, there were a lot of people there, whether it's because of this or just, I mean, that was busy last year too. I don't know. But I do know.
I actually was down the golf course the other day to take some pictures, and 9 people walked across the bridge by the triangle with the coolers and towels and bathing suits, and they headed up Millstream. I don't know where they came from. I didn't know any of them, so it was an interesting observation. The other question I have is, could we go ahead soon, especially in this heat and everything, and get a test on the water down there from the health department?
I will see if they're willing to come out and do that, or I can also talk to Larry Allen and see if he's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll look into that. And do me a favor and just call me on Thursday, and I'll try and have an answer by then.
Okay. Yeah, Larry would be good too. Yeah, forgot about Larry. Yeah.
And Lynn also mentioned, apparently we have seen a few people. I haven't noticed it, but a few people coming in here at the Como, headed down towards the stream. So.
And they've asked me whether or not it belongs to, is it like part of the same thing with Big Deep?
Right.
Who the stream belongs to, if it's the town.
So they're questioning who the stream belongs to. I see a lot of that on Facebook. You know, and the streams are all private. Whoever owns the land underneath, you own the grounds. Navigation rights allow people to, if you can navigate across the top of the water, you can float through. But the streams are not all public domain.
Well, back in the day, and maybe Mr. Rose remembers this, but if you crossed into the Herrick territory behind Como there on the streams, you knew who owned it because a shotgun would appear. Well, yeah, they discouraged fishing.
Yes.
Not that we're recommending that.
Right.
I will
Well,
say
there
this
is
about
no
the-
ballistics on a shotgun.
That's true. You can't
Ah.
chase it back. I will say this about the Como. If you want a cheap date in the next couple days,
Are you offering?
No, never mind.
Yeah, stop.
I took my wife up to the meadow the other night and sat on Stan Longyear's rock and watched the comet. So it's pretty neat.
Oh, cool.
Is that a good spot to see it from?
Yeah, it's right over. It just hangs right over the mountain.
Which meadow were you in again?
The first one, where you know, right by the parking lot.
Okay.
As you walk into the soccer fields.
Okay, cool.
I think you only got a couple more days, but it was pretty cool.
And then you got to wait 6,800 years.
Yeah, well, Mr. Rose will be there. So
This meeting might not be over by then.
All right.
Wait, I have a comment, please. I know you're not saying you're going to open up Big Deep this summer, but I just think of, the safety and how it would not be wise to open it up for anybody, because our numbers are low, and the minute somebody knows it's open, then it's going to be on Facebook. There are people going, and especially since there are so many other areas that are closed, that people will come here the minute you say it's open, even if it's just 2 days, just locals. You just won't be able to control it. And this is not the time to be doing that, is just my opinion.
Thank you.
I don't necessarily
And
disagree.
Richard, the reason why it's so clean is because people aren't going down there.
Well, I know that. Yeah, it's obvious. But
Yeah.
and I'm not saying. First thing I said tonight was, depending on COVID. I mean, I got a wife who's to the right of Dr. Fauci on this stuff. I mean, I'm in prison here. Help me. But I'm looking for a plan. That's what I'm looking for. Whether it's, I would like to see something this year if we could, depending on the numbers and everything like that. But, like I said a couple times now, we've been around this dance for a number of times. It's time to start making decisions.
Different
And
dance.
if that's next year, then it's next year. But I think we should have a plan.
Mhm.
And God knows where this virus goes next year. So.
And I just want to say thank you. I know a couple of the council have been down there on occasion looking to ask people to leave. My office staff and the town clerks were down there. They've had an interesting walk down there asking people to leave.
When was that?
What,
Was that yesterday, or because I went by I saw 3 cars yesterday morning about 9 o'clock.
No, it was about 2 weeks ago that the office staff went down.
One of them wasn't a 63 Willys Jeep, was it, Irish?
No, it wasn't.
Because I was down there the other day.
No, this was yesterday morning around 9, and then when I came back around 10:30, 11, the 3 cars were gone. I don't know whose they were, or if they got chased away. I have no idea.
So,
Could I just add that I think Debbie Hefner, if she were present, would say that Richard is in a prison, but it's a prison of love.
Ooh. Well done.
I would say that his
I would
little
say
name tag says Deborah Hebner.
Yeah, well, I had to switch iPads because of mine. I'm not using my wife's, so
do we have any
So
golf
that's why-
updates?
no,
You say golf updates?
No, we don't play golf anymore.
no, we stopped.
Okay.
We quit cold turkey.
Okay. On a COVID note, I know that we had a little bit of an uptick, and there were now 3 active cases in Woodstock.
Yeah.
I have had some conversations with the county executive's office, and of course, they can't give you a lot of details, but they're 3 separate cases. And he indicated that there was a strong belief that that the cases didn't come from Woodstock, that they had traveled outside and brought back. I don't know if that's true of all 3 cases, but what I said to him is that I want to, we want to make sure that we're not opening too quick, or that there aren't issues going on here. So he did give me that little piece of.
Bill, can I ask you, when
Yep.
a case is reported from Woodstock, do they immediately assign contract tracers?
Contact
I mean, how
tracing.
does that work?
I hope so, Richard. I've gotten very little information from the county, but my understanding is as soon as there's a case that they're on top of it, and he assured me that they were thorough. For instance, 2 cases popped up in one day, and I was concerned because I had in my mind that there was a particular medical call, and so I was worried about the rescue squad and had they, dealt with it. And there happened to be another call back to that same property. So I wanted assurance from the county executive's office that they, if that were the case, if I was right, that they would be reaching out to the fire department. He assured me that that would happen if I was correct. So he says it's working very well.
Good.
So,
Maria Elena wanted to add something.
Maria Elena, did you have something, Maria Elena?
Yeah.
Lynn
I
saw
think-
you from way over across the room.
So it sounds like things may be restored, but I know that for a couple of weeks there or so, a lot of the folks from the drumming group were displaced. But it sounds like they're back on the green, but
They weren't actually. I think what happened was 2 weeks, not this Sunday, but the Sunday before. I guess there was a little bit of a conflict, and somebody planted themselves in the middle of the drumming circle. I believe this Sunday, just to be clear, except for a small portion of the green that's owned by the town, the green is owned by the church. It's
Right.
private property. It's not public property, and the town has an easement, where we maintain it, but it's the church's property, and we do have an agreement with them about what can take place there. Anybody who wants to do an activity on the green, and you through the Women's March, you're aware of this because you had to contact them and get approval from them and approval from the town, just like the drumming circle did many years ago. I will give a big pat on the back to Clayton because he was able to reach out to the second group and, at least get them to move over to the side. This weekend seemed to go a little smoother, although I'm not sure it was as smooth as everybody had hoped, but I think it's headed in a better direction.
Okay, because some folks have reached out to me saying that they wanted to go to the green to protect the drummers and to encourage folks to wear masks. So
the one thing I would just say is that we all need to be very careful and cool and not let this. There were too many fights all over the country, and I think maybe the best course of action is if somebody's going to be obstinate or difficult, better to walk away than to cause friction.
I agree.
Okay. I'm just concerned about the folks that have been going there for so many years, and they are wearing masks, and they want to, congregate and keep the tradition going. It's a little bit, concerning when folks come in, whether they're local or from out of town, without masks, trying to assert their rights to not wear a mask. And you've got these, these poor folks who just want to keep their tradition alive, and they are respectful of one another, and they do wear masks. So that's why I just, some folks had approached me, and I said, let me talk about it with, at least mention it to the board. So,
one of the other frustrating things is that the governor did put in an executive order that says you'll wear a mask if you can't socially distance, but you don't have to wear a mask if you have an illness. And it's not a law, it's an executive order, and it's not clear what tickets although, you know, if you ask the governor, he'll say, "Oh, write a ticket for the public health law." The police and the DA and the sheriffs and the state police are all, you know, it's not as clear to them that they can be writing tickets. And I think the fear is, you know, if they start writing tickets, one, the courts aren't open to deal with it. And we're not sure there's going to be a favorable resolution anyway. So, you know, there's been a lot of back and forth. I've been trying to get clarity from the county and from I even had a conversation with the DA, and it didn't, you know, it still wasn't clear to me. So it is a little frustrating, and the cops are trying to do the best. I know that they were to the drum circle on both weekends, trying to keep tempers from flaring.
Yeah.
So,
I guess my thought, I have two thoughts on this. One thought is any drum circle happening on the green is like right underneath the sign that just went up a week ago that says, "Please wear your mask."
and they do.
And a lot of them do. And I guess my other thought is maybe better than tickets is police having masks. I don't know if we're providing masks to give out. I hear Maria Elena's point. If you have somebody who's, you know, they're going to stand by their right to not wear a mask, that won't help. But if the police
that's what we're dealing with here.
If the police are politely offering masks,
They do.
then okay, then that's all we can really do. I agree with your point, Bill. We don't want fistfights or worse over this. And it's unfortunate people are selfish, and that's the deal with masks. It's you know, it's the selfish people, as I've said to other people, maybe not here. It's the selfish people that refuse to wear masks because the mask protects other people from you, and somebody who refuses to wear the mask is demonstrating they don't care about the other people. So it's unfortunate there are people that stand by their right to not wear a mask because they're showing themselves to be selfish. And that's just my opinion on the matter. And not that I've never forgotten myself, but I'll tell you, I see other people wearing masks, and I say, oh, let me go back to my car and get my mask. I can't say I'm perfect, but if I remember my mask, I definitely wear it. Or I give people the option, do you want me to wear my mask? And it would be nice if everybody was trying to be sensitive and considerate of the other people.
You know, and I think we're getting pretty good compliance in Woodstock. It may be, you know, if you drive through town, it's not 100% of people wearing masks, but by far the bigger majority is at least carrying them. And most of the shopkeepers are telling me they get good compliance. When people come to the door, they have a mask on. Bread Alone has done a fabulous job. The meat market has done a great job. Sunflower, I know that they've had difficulty with one or two customers who just don't want to, and they're not letting them in the store. You know, I go into the lumber yard and the hardware store occasionally, and people, the bank, the banks are good. So, you know, we just have to keep remembering to do that. And I have asked Ashley, you know, really over the next couple of weeks to blitz the census and masks and just get a message up there every day or every other day. So
I think in general, the whole town's doing a very good job. And for what I saw on YouTube of the Village Green, that's the same tired cry for attention that we've been looking at for years now. So,
3 of those individuals, oh, sorry, were you done, Lauren?
No, yeah, that's it. It's just, we know who they are. They're just.
3 of them were on the front page of the Freeman at the July 4th No Mask rally.
Great.
So, yes.
So are they allowed, I noticed they had a canopy up or tent up. Are they allowed to do that on the green without permission from the church?
It's a little dicey, but probably not.
That's really for the church to pursue, right?
The church, you know, listen, if the church wants to file a complaint, the police will follow through on it.
No, I just hate the church to be in that position, that's all.
Yeah. But as the property owner, it's their call.
I know.
Right.
You know, I'm hoping that the chief can possibly move the tent down a little bit further. So.
Who put it up? Whose is it?
The No Mask group.
Oh, okay.
So. The other thing is, so this committee that needs to be put together. I'd like you guys to take the next week and think about whether you have any folks that might make good members
This committee of,
for the police, to review the police
okay.
policies and procedures and whatnot.
Mhm.
So,
Some towns are actually asking for volunteers too. They're
right.
kind
Well,
of a-
I did last week, and you know what? Maybe I'll post something on Facebook and the
Yeah, it's a
webpage.
mix and match. Some are appointing people as well as asking for a couple of volunteers. You know,
I think that, for instance, the police chief has to be part of it. That he's there specifically.
that's required. Yeah.
Yes. A member of the clergy. And I think I mentioned this last week, but anyway, if you have any thoughts, please get back to me.
Will the Human Rights Commission be on that too, or?
We'll probably appoint one member from the commission, from the,
Okay.
from them.
And remind me how big this committee, your vision is, how many people?
You know, I've talked with a couple of different folks. I'm thinking that 9, which is a big committee, but I think, you know, when I talked to Clayton today, I can't show it here, the procedures and policies, it's a pretty big book. And I would imagine that maybe the best way to go about it is if everybody started to take different sections and go through it and come back with reports and suggestions, and then it's a committee, they could fine tune things. So I'm thinking that a few extra would be better.
Bill, has the governor really issued anything beyond that initial? Okay. So
And did you want to?
The budget, the director of budget, I think, is supposed to formulate information, and nobody has seen it yet. So
Okay.
you know, I know some towns are jumping out and getting the committee. That might be the horse before the cart. I don't know. We should at least start to talk about it, though, which is what I'm doing.
okay.
So
Well, you got to April, right?
And did you?
we have to adopt it by April, though.
Yeah.
Right.
So that means we really need.
That's not a long time from, you know.
No, it isn't a long time, and we would need to see something at least by the end of February. You know, maybe we could see a drafts at the beginning of the year and let the committee continue to fine tune it. So,
And were you looking for a town board liaison?
no, I'm going to I'll probably have a town board member or 2 on there. All right, anybody got anything else?
Can we
Is
take
that-
up a collection? I mean, poor Mr. Rose's electricity got turned off.
Yeah, he's in the dark there.
I
If
didn't
you're
think
hard on-
I didn't think he had electricity.
Well,
You want to be green, stop taking more than you need.
Well, hey, there you go. Oh, Bill, I did have one more question, and that is, do we have a definitive answer on when we're reconvening in person?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Next month, our meetings will be back to being in person. I'm in-house, we've been talking about this. And I think what we're going to do is, like the old days, go back to the community center, because we can spread out there. We can have
Oh,
You
that's a
know,
good idea.
a couple of big tables for the board to sit at. We
Yeah.
can have,
I'm sorry, my video, everybody froze up, and Bill, I didn't catch what you said. I just went off video to hopefully get better reception. So if you could repeat that, go back to the olden days, and I didn't hear after that.
back to the community center, where the planning board, town board, zoning board used to meet over at the community center. And I think that's what we're going to move to do. We do have a live feed over there, so we can go out live for the town board. And that gives enough room. You know, we can set out chairs. We can leave them set up where they're 6 or 8 feet apart for the public. So that's the plan.
Okay, community center for starting August.
Yep.
And everybody going to be back at work by the end of the month, or
Yeah.
everybody's full office hours and everything, or?
Yeah, I think that's the plan at this point. If there's any change, I'll let you know, but that's always been the plan.
Oh, and also, what time does Pam get in? I know you said that Reggie and I should get with Pam tomorrow. What time does she get in usually?
7:30, right?
7:30.
Yay. Okay.
You can go first, Laura, because I will not be there at 7:30.
There you go.
Why don't you give her to 8 so she can get settled in?
Put in the door, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
there
so
you go.
thrilled, Reggie, that you got up early to Zoom with us.
I was part of a Geezer Corps meeting. It was probably one of the most enjoyable Monday mornings that I've had. That was a fun group for sure.
But Geezer Corps meet. They meet regularly.
They had a Zoom call, and I surprised them, and it was great.
So when is the Nationals fan coming?
Tuesday.
You can't tell, but I'm looking right at you, Hefner.
A week from today. I caught the Nationals reference. A week from today.
Okay.
I asked him if he was going to get all nostalgic the first time he got a whiff of baby crap.
So I have to ask, is
For those
there
who
an
don't
age?
understand what they're referring to, my grandson, who I've not seen since he was born, is arriving in a week. And I'm actually getting a COVID test tomorrow. Just to be sure.
Good luck. Whose phone is ringing?
That's me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I have to ask, is there an age requirement to be in the Geezer Corps?
I am the youngest member of the Geezer Corps. Jim Hansen's 81 now. He's the ranking Geezer.
Wow.
It's more an attitude than an age. You gotta have a hide like a rhino is the first thing. You can't take anything personal. If you show a soft underbelly, we all have sharp sticks. So we don't have a lot of guidelines. Oh, but on the Geezer Corps front there, Mr. Hebner, I've had a couple people volunteer to help with the project for painting in the fall.
Yeah, I told Terry Reynolds about this cemetery. I will join it.
People approached me about helping, so
yeah, I think we can handle that.
What do you the fence?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I do have some potentially bad news on that front. You know, of course, we were very successful in getting a $208,000 grant for cemetery work, and we got the first quarter of that, $56,000, which we pretty much spent on paving. Now I don't know if and when the rest of it may become available. Everything is frozen right now. And
you're not going to see it. Yeah.
So I've told the cemetery committee, because they're anxious to do more work, and I said, I think we need to be a little cautious in moving forward. The other thing, and this was kind of a new thing, when I spoke to the cemetery Division of Cemeteries up in Albany the other day, they said, oh, well, you need to spend the other 75% and then you get a reimbursement. And so part of the problem is, we have about $65,000 in there to have a guy come in and fix the headstones. So he might start this fall and then he would do it next spring and into the summer, which means that we wouldn't be able, if we were held to that completion, wouldn't be able to put in for submission for reimbursement until a year from now. And, we face not having any of that money. We're talking about $150,000, and that would gobble up our savings that we've kind of committed to help pay the bills every year. So, I think at this point we need to slow down a little bit the big grand scheme that we had. And they said to call back in a month and see. They were going to try and work with us to maybe allow us to do smaller projects, which they actually thought would be a better idea for all of us. So a month from now, I might have an update on that front.
I think the painting stuff is all donated, however, right?
Correct. Yeah, you guys are good to go.
So are we frozen on rebuilding? I know we were going to repoint and rebuild the pillars. Is that frozen because of this?
Technically, yes. Now, that's a mess, and those pillars have to come down. So, they have to come down for safety. It's conceivable that maybe we just decide to do that one small portion. But I would hold off on any ideas of completing all the work. You know, the pillars, I think, need to be done, and we do have some money set aside. The cemetery committee has raised some monies that they've, you know, fundraised to do beautification. So there might be some there to help too. So that's where we're at. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Nope, I think the comet's coming around again.
Yeah, I was looking at what Bill has, not Bill on the on his comment screen. Bill, is that a live picture or is that a picture you got from the internet of the comet?
No, that's one I took from Cooper Lake last night.
Oh,
Wow, that's beautiful.
I heard you're supposed to look northwest. I guess you got to go look northwest.
You
That's
can't miss it.
amazing.
It's right below the Big Dipper. So.
Yeah, if you take the bottom star of the Big Dipper and go.
Hey, wait a sec. Oh, I got a comment. Did you say it's right below the Big Dip?
Dipper.
Big Dipper.
Oh, I thought you said the Big Dip.
Maybe I did. I only got.
It's right
I only
below
got
you.
2.5 hours sleep last night from chasing this thing. So. But I figured it was an appropriate picture to put up for a town of Woodstock meeting.
Okay.
Who is that? I'm just curious. Speaking.
Bill Kimball.
Oh, Bill. Okay. Hey, Bill.
I thank you for that, Bill. It's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Our Freeman Press. Yeah, thank you.
You're
Can
welcome.
we go home now?
Goodbye. Motion to adjourn.
Before you do that,
Second.
All in
Good night,
favor?
everyone. Hello.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Seconded that, Bill? Everybody?
Give it to Laura.
Okay.
Oh, what's Laura getting?
You seconded it.
Oh, sure, I'll take it. What the heck? I heard Lauren, but whoever you want to give it to is.
No, Laura. Oh, okay. Give it to Lauren then.
I think I heard Lauren. I heard